I'm in favour of torture. Yes, I'm not, but I know a Brazilian who is. After all, Brazilians have been torturing the defence of many countries over the history of sport, the history of Brazil football. They won the Great World Cup in 1958. A young man by the name of Pelé, who was only a teenager, he just used his skills to just mesmerise those people that were there to watch him in the Swedish World Cup of 1958. He used his skills and scored over 1,000 goals and tortured defences throughout his lifetime. Then switch forward to 1970. The Great World Cup team did the exact same thing. And what happened then thereafter? We had the likes of the Ors, Romario, Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho. I could go on and on. 94, 98, 2000s. The great Brazilians tortured, but they did so for joy. Then you have Jair Bolsonaro, the president of Brazil, the democratic society that is Brazil. The people of Brazil love to smile, they're a happy bunch, and that's why we like them. Jair Bolsonaro, though, is an interesting character. His leadership survives in the modern day. Why and how? And what are his personality traits? That's what I'm looking at right now. And where did he come from? Now later on I'm going to look at how actually popular he is, because he's got such popularity on the YouTube. You, chew, me. I am here, you're watching me, and so is Bolsonaro. You would not believe it. And also his military background, and I've looked into who else in the military background is and has made a wonderful world leader. In fact, has been a wonderful leader at all. More about that a little bit later on. But what is Bolsonaro's traits and what is his leadership capability? According to a 1999 quote that he once said, I believe in torture. I want torture as such. Now that is a very pointed particular statement. And yet he became an actual president in around 20 years after that. Switch back to when he was born. He was born at a time where discipline and God were primed to his actual belief. And this is what has led him within his own democratic way throughout his time as presidency. He believes in God, he believes in the family, and that's fine. These are all good things for good people. But he's a very strict disciplinarian. This is exactly where he comes from with regard to his feelings on torture, and this is with regard to his feelings on dictatorship. He has looked back at the dictatorship that was in the history in the 60s, and he actually had fond memories or fond ability to empathise with it. He thinks and feels that this is the way to go. Bolsonaro is an interesting character, but also can be quite, shall we say, loaded. Anybody who's going to fire has to be loaded, and he's fired quite a bit. He's fired out online in a lot of ways. He's been interviewed in many ways, and he has given his opinions on certain things. And the things are not exactly welcomed by many masses. In fact, many democracies around the world don't exactly believe he's a president in a democratic right, because he is giving off things that are anti this, anti that, and anti the other. Anti, except for not the uncle, not the anti-uncle, but anti as against all the different people and sectors of the world. He is against, for example, the likes of immigration. Now, here's where he's similar to Donald Trump. Trump wanted to build a wall that will stop people coming from the likes of Mexico into the United States of America. This is where Bolsonaro has a similar type of mind frame, that immigrants are not good, and therefore, full stop, we should not have them. We should keep them away. Then, with regard to gay people, he has no time whatsoever for it. He believes that a person being gay is not at all welcome in the society. It's un-Brazilian. It's not the way to have people in society. With that in mind, he notes that his young sons, of which he has 4, if they were born gay, he just would not be happy. This just tells you the extremity with regard to his belief in certain sections of society and how he feels about it, then I said he's God-fearing. Now again, that can be seen as a good thing, but for him and for society, it has created problems. Then there is certain comments he's made about rape. Now rape is a very serious thing. It's not a wanted thing, it's a disgusting thing. That's my opinion. However, he has said in the past that a certain female deserved to have this done to them. Now that's a huge thing to say for anybody. It's obviously a huge thing to have done to somebody, but it's another thing, a huge thing whatsoever, to actually progress and put out there as a leader of a free world, as a leader of a democratic state and so on. Now when we think of that, and these comments about gay people, comments about rape, comments about immigration, these are hugely just pointed things. But they have given Bolsonaro a following. Not only have they given him a following, he has actually grown his following. And we consider social media and his personality so outspoken, and that he believes in survival in such a fact that dictatorship and also torture is a possibility in his world, in his views. His particular views came at a certain time where, ironically, there was a need for this fierceness. There was a need to stamp down on certain things. One of the things was there was 60,000 or so, or even more, homicides per year in Brazil. And he could see what was happening in the Trump world, in the United States, not too far over his own borders, a little bit north in the world, and see how the people were relating to him. We all know that back in the day when Trump got in as United States president, there was something going on perhaps with social media and his connection with that. And there was something going on with the likes of how his campaign was portrayed and put out there and how it progressed. And social media is wonderful for campaigning and things like this. So he used it in whatever way he did. Bolsonaro perhaps knows the value of the spoken word and the said word. He puts things out there and things that he's very strong about, and he says them perhaps to hit headlines, who knows. But for certain, his underlying discipline, or what he perceives to be discipline, is what he feels he wants the Brazilian nation and society to be. He wants this to be shaped within Brazil. Going back into his military background, he believed that discipline and family and God, these are the creating principles for him. These are the things that guided him. This, in the way he's done it and the way he says things, is interesting because he obviously gets followers. He obviously gets more people that really want and really love what he says. Or they just follow him because they're just intrigued or they're appalled. Who knows? But for sure, he's popular. He is definitely making waves. He's definitely making people listen to him, to watch him. And that is an interesting thing. When he was younger, in the 1980s, in the military, he complained. He wrote an article where it was seen that he was unhappy with the salaries, the wages, the money. For 15 days he was taken in by the military. He was not going to have a very good outcome from it. But eventually he got acquitted. This, he knows, is a blemish on his own disciplinary record. He sees this as a breach of his own discipline as such. So he believes, though, by saying that was the last and the only time he had broken this core of discipline in his public life. And if you can only break public discipline once, well then you're great. If you can only break personal discipline, for sure you are great. There is no doubt about it. So I decided to have a look at his social media and to see how big he really was. Maybe it's the way he says things. Maybe it's the way he comes across. But for certain, it's confidence. It's confidence in his word and his backing of his word. If you only learn one thing from that, from Jair Bolsonaro, it's his confidence of how he projects things and puts things out there. He's very definite about what and how he says, about his belief in the present and the future of Brazil. And that in itself is a huge, strong leadership trait. Something that we can all use. What backs up that confidence, what is the opinion, what is the feeling, is a totally different thing. But the confidence itself is something that is going to be really, really projecting a person so strongly in front of other people that they could be awarded with leadership. You could be given a job as a young person. You could be given certainly a position as an adult within a company, more so than you ever wished for before. If you think about it, if you go into an interview, those first few seconds of confidence, you coming in the door, dressed to impress, you sitting down, you projecting and handshaking in the times of non-COVID-19, and showing that confident eye contact. By doing that, by showing that eye contact, really and truly, showing exactly what you feel and you believe in, that is going to get you where you want to go in life. Whether your opinions are good or bad or skewed, that is not the question. What we're learning is about Jair Bolsonaro, and we're learning about his confidence. And there's other people in the military. This is what I found out. Many other people in the military in the past who have become big and great leaders. Some not so good in your opinion. Fair enough. Maybe some others brilliant. But it just shows you there's a history of military expertise. Look at the United States. Look at the leaders there, all through the years that have a military background. Finally, let's have a quick look at Bolsonaro's social media, and you can see he is growing, and somebody somewhere likes him and tells other people, because he and his confidence is working a treat. So be confident, learn that one thing with your leadership, and you'll get to where you want to go. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Thanks if you have. Until next time though, have a wonderful and confident day.